Mason Cole from Donuts.co, the registry launching hundreds of new top-level domains, says that .coms are dead in a recent blog post. Want to know what Rick Schwartz says in response? Stay tuned. It's an interesting show today. I have 3 sponsor messages before we get into today's show. First, if you have a great domain name and nothing to show when people visit, you're missing out on potential advertising revenue, leads, and partnership opportunities. NicheWebsites.com can build you a site quickly with a price option to suit any need. But as their tagline says, they don't just build websites, they build businesses. NicheWebsites.com. Second, if you're buying or selling a domain name or portfolio and you want an estimate of its value, Estabot.com is the place to go. Just like you'd visit Zillow.com to get an estimate of a house value, Estabot.com provides key information about the most important statistics so you can make an informed decision based on data. Finally, whether you're buying, selling, brokering, or financing a domain name, you need an escrow company that's properly licensed, bonded, insured, and audited. That company is escrow.com, and they've been doing it since 1999. Escrow.com. It's about trust. Hey everyone, my name is Michael Cyger. I'm the publisher of DomainSherpa.com, and this is the DomainSherpa Discussion. Do you want to know what's going on in the industry from an insider's perspective? I've got 4 insiders that are going to lay down what's going on over the past week and coming up for the upcoming week. From left to right, we have Adam Dicker, CEO of DNForum.com and NicheWebsites.com, the company that will help you build, rank, and update your business website. Michael Berkens, publisher of TheDomains.com, co-founder of the Right of the Dot consultancy, and founder of the domain marketplace MostWantedDomains.com. Paige Howe, founder of the domain marketplace DomainOutlet.com and the service DomainTipsheet.com, where you can find hand-selected domain names at reg fee pricing. And Rick Schwartz, the Domain King, publisher of Rick's blog and co-founder of the Traffic Domain Industry Conference coming up this October. Gentlemen, welcome to this week's show.
Thank you.
Hello, hello.
Thank you.
First up, Mason Cole, VP of Communications and Industry Relations at the registry named Donuts.co, wrote a blog entitled, quote, "The Importance of Semantics and Affinity and the Meaningless of .com." In the article, Mason makes the following point. If you go ask a regular person what they might find on a .bike or a .pizza website, they'll know. The domain name extension adds context and maybe affinity. If you love pizza, you're going to affinitize towards pizza. I think we all agree that, I think we could all basically agree with that point. But where I think Mason goes off the rails is when he says, quote, "Ask 10 people what .com means and you'll get a puzzled stare, because it doesn't mean anything to them. .com has become semantically forgettable and meaningless. In the context of new TLDs, it means miscellaneous." He concludes with the statement, quote, ".com has become diluted and meaningless. It adds nothing to an identity, except perhaps to say, I'm on the internet somewhere. .com is 1999, not today, and definitely not the future," end quote. Rick Schwartz, I can't start anywhere else but you.
It's a great humor piece. What can you say? It's really funny when you read it. You know, if you didn't know any better, and listen, and seriously, I never take a blog seriously that doesn't allow comments. So he doesn't allow comments, which means it's a megaphone, which he knows he's going to get a lot of blowback, and I don't think it's really worth spending a whole lot of time on because it's just a self-serving bunch of garbage. What can you say?
So you think that Mason is totally biased because the registry Donuts.co does nothing but put out top-level domains like .bike and maybe .pizza. I'm not even sure if they own them. And they want to drive everybody's attention away from .com to these new TLDs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But Rick, can't Mason turn the tables on you and go to DomainIQ.com and find out that 92% of your 6,000 plus domain names are .com and that you're biased too?
Well, I'm biased because I'm going with the wind, not against the wind. I kind of spit with the wind, not against the wind. You know, I got history on my side, and I have, you know, just like any other chart. My chart is still going up through all these years, and I'm still a little bit away from my 20-year line. And you know, it's just everything's right on target. And like I've said from the get-go, this will only make .com domains more valuable and more in demand. And the more success anyone has anywhere else, when they grow up, they want to become a .com because it does, you know, it's just a look. It's just a debate in how long you think the general public of 7 billion people are going to figure it out. And, you know, there's lots of different ways that you can have that debate. I just kind of go according to history. And, you know, it's just like, well, you know, the United States accounts for 2% of the world's population, if I'm not mistaken. Something very small. Out of 7 billion people, we have 300 million. So whatever the math is, figure out the math. It's a couple of 3 points, whatever it is. But you know what? When it comes to the domain industry, for example, North America, and I could probably name 5 or 10 countries around the globe that got heavy into .com at the beginning, and where were all the other countries at that time? China was nowhere on the radar map. None of those countries were. But if you trace it, you can go back to the United States, you can go to Canada, you can go to Germany, you can go to Australia, you can go to a few other countries, Great Britain, and you will see that was 70 or 80% of the entire market. And, you know, he makes a point about the country codes. The country codes are wonderful. They got in. They had no choice other than to take the country codes. We didn't have to take the country codes because .us, because we got .com. And then you have to understand how commerce is done around the world. And, you know, we talked about the metric system last week. Okay, we went on the metric system in the United States 15 years ago. That lasted for 15 minutes. It didn't work. You know?
Right, but can't we rewind the clock 20 years, Rick, and look at all the people that laughed at you when you were buying .coms and they were saying that internet will never catch on. I am going to stick with my Yellow Pages advertising and my branded 800 phone number because, you know, everybody does business by telephone.
It's a little bit different pond that you're in. One was an ocean and a tsunami, and the biggest thing in history. Okay, you have to understand, this isn't the same. This isn't the same as 18 years ago. This was the biggest change in the history of the world in the way we did business.
So you don't think .pizza is going to be as big of a wave as the internet?
No. Listen. The internet itself changed the way every single person on the planet lives and does business and contacts their children and their grandparents and their mothers and their fathers. It changed everyone in the most epic way that's happened since the Industrial Revolution, let's say. Or, you know, I mean, we're talking about a historical event that happened.
Right.
It was historical. This is not historical. There's a difference. So it's not the same mountain, and I refuse to have a debate that's supposedly equal when they're completely different. And that's the true disconnect. One was completely historical, and one is, you know, it's a ripple after all the waves are happening. It's just completely different, and I see it completely different.
And are you saying like the metric system, how the United States has never switched to metric from standard, that the world will never switch from .com to .pizza or .bike because it's just so entrenched and people don't like to change?
It's about the U.S. consumer. The U.S. consumer, we consume everything, we throw it away. The world has never seen anything like it. We're Huizinga's dream. You understand? We're Wayne Huizinga's dream because we just throw things away, and no other country in the world. No, you'd have to add hundreds of countries together to get what we consume. Our 300 million people consume more than 5 billion people. That's a big difference. So if you want to consume, to target 5 billion people that don't consume anything, that's a different game than targeting the 2 billion people that, it's just a different equation.
I'm with you. I'm with you. All right, Adam, Mike, and Paige. I know most weeks, at least most weeks up till last week, when Paige is like, forget these new TLDs. I can't follow them. I don't get enough information. The information's not right, yada, yada. You guys generally have purchased. Well, and to be fair to Rick, at the last traffic auction, he did reveal that he purchased a few hundred new TLDs. But does anybody else agree with Mason that .com is becoming meaningless to some degree, and these new TLDs add more affinity and context to business? Adam?
So up until about 2 minutes ago, I never knew who Mason Cole was. So, I mean, I don't know he's got a blog. I didn't know there was an article until you sent it to us. Personally, I can describe it in one line. I cannot believe somebody, when they write an article and put down the only thing that they're not making money on, to pipe up what they are. And that's the bottom line for me. I mean, if you're going to tell me how bad Pepsi is, I mean, that's not going to help Coke. It's best to talk up your own products than to ridicule somebody else's products. They teach you that in general sales. So as long as he's pushing everything but .com, I'm not going to believe too much of what he's saying. And past history from everybody on the panel and many other domainers have shown there's plenty of money made in .com. They're not worthless, and I'll hold on to my worthless inventory and be happy.
Mike, I spent a little time on my response to Mr. Cole here. So
yeah.
I felt that it was a Donut sponsored blog. So I mean, like Rick said,
It's
no
on
comments.
Donut's site.
It's not an independent source. I think the Donuts Company blog has some holes in it. I think this holes glazes over the truth a little bit.
And to be honest, the donut holes are the best part.
His press release is sprinkled with incorrect assumptions, and I declare that they want to use logic to come up with the reason why people should be buying these things, not buying comms instead of promoting those. I think he's twisting the facts. So anyway,
He's also a little nutty.
I could go on and on, yeah. But really, I think, he's up there like the generals, right? They're up there in the ivory tower, and we're out here dealing with customers every day. And we talk to people about buying semantic, segmented names, and they say they want brandables. So this idea that these guys all applied for the TLDs when keywords were big, and now it's brandable, they're kind of stuck there. So I'm not sure they're like like Adam said, you don't have to put something down to make yours better. And then what he puts down is, listen to this, what he puts down is those worthless names that all they're doing is earning more than their reg fee every year. Now, if there's any asset in domaining that has value, an unlimited internal rate of return, it's a domain name that earns more than its reg fee every year. So for him to pick on that class, the one that's a slam dunk, anyway. But I had to get some of my puns in there. So
I appreciate that. And during that pun, I'm like, oh, Eclair. Maybe we should start a joke blog about donuts being, Eclair's being better. But Eclair.co is taken, so I'm giving it up. Mike, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I have a few thoughts. I mean, there's some, if you take, Mason, if you look at Mason's post, and the point being that, the verticals, you'll know what you find on a .bike or .pizza. Okay, that's an interesting point, but, there's a lot of new GTLDs that are sort of like .com as well, in that they're very generic, and you don't know what you're necessarily going to find on it. And some of the most successful, if you define success in terms of domain registrations, if you look at the top few new GTLD domain registrations, the XYZ, which is, meaningful as com, by anybody's book, has the most registrations. .club, which you don't really know exactly what you're going to find on a .club. Theoretically, like a .bike or a .pizza is number 2. And, obviously the cities are the cities. .wang is in the top 5. So not all new GTLDs are verticals. And the verticals aren't doing that great, to be honest. So if you look at the stats, some of the really direct verticals are probably getting a couple of thousand registrations at best, right? And if, so I mean, the argument doesn't even get that far, to be honest. So there's 276 million domains registered in the world. and 114 million are .coms. So, and there's less than 2 million new GTLDs. So, what is that? Well, there's a lot more CCTLD registrations than .com registrations. But so what? I mean, I guess I'm not understanding exactly what his point is. It's an awful long way to go. What is .pipe going to get? 3,000 registrations, and so what? What does that mean? I don't know.
Well, but it's not the quantity, it's the quality of the registrations, Mike.
Oh, the quality? They're concerned about the quality of the registrations. Okay, well maybe they shouldn't put such high prices on the better domains. Like today, some of the names today were the eating disorder clinic. Let's see what that puppy's. I think it's $1,500 a year.
For what?
So, eating disorder clinic.
Eating disorder clinic. $1,500 a year.
Yeah,
critical care was $6,000.
Also, to go back to one of his quick points that Rick mentioned was, yes, maybe .pizza may tell you what it is, but New York.pizza to me is the same as NewYorkPizza.com, except NewYorkPizza.com is better, and people will go to the .com, and people actually have heard of .com, where nobody, if you go to, I had an old test at a coffee shop my dad used to do with me if we ever disagreed on something. He'd say, go ask 3 strangers at a coffee shop, and we'll see who they agree with more. Believe me, 0 out of 3 is going to know about .pizza, but they'll all have heard of .com.
Well, but that's a matter of time, though. They haven't heard of it today, but they will have heard of it 10 years from now, or our kids will, go to .pizza by default.
But that's what we're saying, Mike, is more popular. True, then say in your blog post, we expect this to be a long-term thing. We're just trying to do our best. We got our heads down. We're not sure if it's going to work. We're going to do our best to promote these things. But to come in and say, world, see the world as I see it with the definition of this, that's where he loses me. If he's going to appeal to logic, he loses me.
Well, but Rick, go back and read Rick's blogs from 15 years ago. He's like, this is the way the world is, and you just don't see what I see yet. It's only recently that Rick has said, this is my 20-year vision.
No, wait a second. No. I started talking about a 20-year vision 20 years ago. Ask anybody.
And he bought him.
I was hoping that was the case, Rick. I didn't go back and read the blogs before
the whole point, my 20-year vision was from 20 years ago. At that point, I said it's going to take 20 years for this to evolve and to happen, and it actually was a little bit less, but, yeah. Hey, next December is the 20-year mark.
I'm ready for you, Michael, this week. I did register a new TLD or two, so I'm ready.
Nice. No, Rick doesn't want to talk about new TLD, so we're not going to talk about him this week. All right, so Mason Cole, there you go. There's your rebuttal. And if you want to come on and speak for a few minutes about what the Sherpas said and how they all think that you're wrong, then shoot me an email and I'll give you a little video underneath his for like 2-minute rebuttal. All right, next up, a question from the audience. Palm Beach. I'm not sure if that's his real name or not, but we're going to go with it. Palm Beach wants to ask a SERP question about new and old domain name extensions. So Mason Cole, pay attention. Maybe you can provide some input on this as well. So it's new TLDs, new extensions like .xyz, .club, .tokyo versus the old bad TLDs like .com. SERP, SERP, of course, being the acronym for Search Engine Results Page. So we're talking about how the organic results on the search engines are ranking, not the paid on top and on the right-hand side, but the organic listings. So, Rick, this question is not for you. So, Adam, let's go to you first. Here's the question. All other factors being equal, like all other factors besides domain name, like the content on the page, the on-page SEO, the off-page SEO, all those other factors being held constant, which is better from an SEO ranking perspective? A new TLD like wine.club or an old TLD like wineclub.com when someone is searching for the phrase wine club on a search engine? What do you think, Adam?
Are we talking 5 years from now, or are we talking today?
We're talking, well, that's a great question. Let's talk today and then provide your input on 5 years from now.
So today, I think that there is some definite, still some advantages with .com in the sense that there are some things that are not treated equally in the search engines. So if all content was equal and they both had really great 5,000 page sites with all kinds of interesting stuff on wine, I think the com would do slightly better. It wouldn't do a lot better. It would still outrank and come close to all the other sites, but I think it would still pull ahead of wine.club.
So is that your opinion, Adam?
Yeah, it's my opinion based on experience.
Based on your experience building websites, getting them ranked, doing search engine. You're not speaking for Google or Bing or any of the search engines.
No, and that's not saying that .club, wine.club is not a fantastic domain and a website, because it is. So I don't really I'm not really picking on them, but I just think that until the search engines view them all similarly and can handle those extensions perfectly, there's a bit of a difference.
So you think 5 years from now, that difference?
5 years from now, I think it'll be equal, or it'll definitely be equal.
Equal. So you don't think that Google will be able to better identify wine and club as two separate words with the dot in the middle than wineclub.com?
No, I don't think they'll view them any better than that.
Okay, so 5 years from now, all other factors being equal, you think that wine.club will be equal to wineclub.com?
Yeah, providing they have the exact same content and obviously the same marketing behind them, but yes.
All right. Anybody else have any thoughts on search engine optimization, organic rankings, wine.club versus wineclub.com?
Well, I just think it's a big leap to say all things being equal, because more than likely, if you have a .com site, you've been around for a while, you've got some older links, people are used to staying on your site. And to say that people are going to instantly give you all the same credibility in a new TLD, I don't think they will right now. I think if you sit there and say how many people, when presented with 5 choices of places to go to, would go to wine.club over wineclub.com, not saying one side. I just think it's a great compliment to the new TLDs to say that everything's going to be equal, when there's still some systems out there that I think are having trouble with the dot, having trouble with this stuff. And so I think it's a great compliment to them to say that everything will be equal, and I'm not sure right now it is all equal.
Yeah.
Well, I said it wasn't right now.
Right.
Well,
and you bring up a good point.
That assumption that you could say everything is equal except for the portion of the Google search algorithm that applies to domain name and its contribution to the overall effect on SERP. And I think a lot of those other things aren't ready to be equal yet.
And you bring up a good point, Paige, that you as a user might remember wineclub.com better than wine.club. You may mix them up and you may type in wineclub.com, but that has nothing to do with organic rankings when you search for the phrase wine club with a space in between. So I just wanted to present that, make sure that we're scoping and bounding the conversation.
Google is not going to give you wine.club. It's also not going to give you, it's not going to go to your site. It's going to throw out the dot, and it's going to bring up wineclub.com. Google doesn't recognize the dot. They skip right over it. So it works both ways. If I want, like I bought the smart.care today. That was the new TLD I bought. So if I type in smart care, it's going to go find anything that has to do with smart care. And if I type in smart.care,
including subdomains and subpages as well.
So if I type in smart.care thinking it's going to go right to my site, it's going to throw out that dot. It's not gonna come straight to me. It's gonna bring in every other .com that has smart care in it.
Right.
And so it works both ways. It's great to say, what am I gonna get, by being a new TLD, but you also have to realize that you're like with the .tv. If I had like Murfreesboro.tv is our local one I have, I'm not getting any benefit. If someone types in Murfreesboro.tv, it doesn't go necessarily to me. It throws out the dot and goes to every other site with Murfreesboro TV in it. So I don't think Google sees the dot.
Well, I would just say, I'm not an SEO guy, but, remind everybody that Google applied for 100 of these UGTLDs themselves, so we don't know how many they'll wind up getting, but they'll wind up getting some, and a portion of them, and maybe 50 or whatever, and they're going to, they applied for them, to be used and registered and to be ranked, and so I'm sure Google's search algorithm will change because it can't, just rank its own GTLDs that it's the registry for. It's going to have to rank all GTLDs in the same fashion. So, I think it will not throw out the dot. If it does throw out the dot now, which I don't know because I'm not the SEO guy, I think it will change in the near future when Google starts rolling out their own extensions.
Yeah. All right.
Including possibly like search.
Right. Okay, so I want to take the discussion one step further. Let's go back to you, Adam. With all other factors being the same, if somebody types in Seattle Wine Club as 3 words, just goes to the Google bar, types in Seattle space wine space club, which would rank better, SeattleWineClub.com, Seattle.wineclub.com, or Seattle.wine.club?
It's good. Right now, it's going to be SeattleWineClub.com without question.
So again, just like you said previously, regardless of third-level domains or second-level domains or first-level domains, you're saying that the club is likely to have a slight advantage over a new TLD or a third.
Not the club. The com.
The com. I'm sorry. The com will have a slight advantage over the .club or a third-level .club.
Correct.
All right. All right.
Correct. We can do a test if you want. I don't mind doing a test and registering a domain name and a .club, doing them both with the exact same content and see what happens.
Maybe we should do that.
I'll do that. And I'll even use unique content.
All
so
right.
the whole site will have unique content.
Let's do it.
All
well,
right.
it's got to be all other factors being equal. So no inbound links. It's just got to be on-page SEO.
I'm going to register the domain names quick, like tomorrow, and we'll start completely new.
Sweet. We'll see if we can get them indexed in a week and resulting up on the top of the pages.
I'll get them next week.
.net is #1 result, by the way, for that.
Yeah, but I'm going to pick, Mike, I'm going to pick stupid ones. I'm going to pick like 4 or 5 word ones, just so they get indexed, just so we can see how they rank.
Don't tell anybody what you're going to do so no one can affect the results.
Right.
I agree.
Right.
But this is where I'm stunned that no registry has done this yet, and it comes Adam to do it. You know what I mean? But anyway,
that'll certainly be a good. That would be a good.
Might know the answer. Yeah.
Exactly, because it'll be a good test case for everybody.
Leave it to Adam. All right, so we're going to have those results next week.
Yeah, that's a good name for a show. Instead of Beaver, leave it to Adam.
All right, next up, let's chat about top-level domains that are available for registration fee. No, I don't want to talk about that. Let's go to another reader question. This is
No, I gotta get in there.
Yeah, we'll get to TLDs. We may run out of time and not talk about new TLDs besides Mason's article, and then Rick will be happy. All right, next up, I got one more reader question. Homero, you guys knew who he is. Homero. Homero, great person, great domain investor, regular commenter, nice guy, earnest guy. I've never met him, but I can just tell from emails.
What's the question?
He emails me infrequently, but when he does, he always has great suggestions. So he wants to know what tools you use, the Sherpas use, to evaluate domains, to come up with domain ideas, to look up who is information, domains owned by a person, valuation aids, anything that you want to talk about. Let's go down the block.
Tools from Berkens. We know how he likes to give them out.
I know, right? Let's start on the left with Adam. Quick break from 3 sponsors of today's show. First, are you tired of being upsold and cross-sold when you buy or renew a domain? Then try the newest registrar being built from the ground up with a beautiful interface, competitive pricing, and 24/7 support. Uniregistry.com will surprise and delight you. The right domain can change your life. Uniregistry.com. Second, investing in Chinese domains is crazy hard without expert native language advice. Now, as a service to the Western domainer community, TLD Registry offers ChineseLandRush.com. Using ChineseLandRush.com will help you invest in Chinese domains with confidence and without knowing a word of Chinese. Finally, MediaOptions is a boutique domain brokerage firm that gets results. They've specialized in helping companies acquire and sell high-value domain names since 2005, with a client list ranging from funded startups to Fortune 500 corporations. Visit MediaOptions.com to learn more.
All right, so the question is, what do I use to find domains?
Related to your domain investing, what do you use?
Okay, so I've got a tool that I created that runs through 60,000 domains a day and tells me, based on keywords that I've set up, what I'm looking for and niches I'm looking for. It'll tell me what's becoming available in that in that area.
So is that what's dropping that day? You're searching through them based on your criteria?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Yeah, it's what's dropping. It could even, I mean, how I look for other names that are just available is just look for them and contact the end users. So, but generally, I look at things that are niches. I look for future trends, and I look for stuff like that. I mean, we're going to talk about some future trends later on the show, but I mean, I look for things and I use custom tools because generally there's not a lot out there. I still use Excel a lot. I use Domain Punch to keep track of the inventory, the DNS, some email addresses I find incorrect sometimes. I look at Estibot sometimes but the best thing I can do is, like I said, I never care about traffic. I don't care about what Estibot says about a domain name. Mm-hmm. I care that I can build a business on it or that a business would want to buy it. Because if a business would want to buy it, it's gold to me.
All right. Sounds good. Hey, Mike, let's go to you. What tools do you use?
No hard lane glass.
Google Translate.
I'm going to write these down, too, if he gives us anything.
I know, right?
Yeah,
maybe we should make Mike last and then come back. All right, Mike, what do you use?
I use Fresh Drop. I mean, Fresh Drop is well known. Mm-hmm. So obviously gives you a lot of information about deleting names, both namejet or just general deleting names. I've got this little program called, I think, Watch My Domains that you get in the Mac store that you can, load up if you want to load up a bunch of names and see who owns them and when they expire, what registrar they're at, and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, domain tools is that. If I'm just checking who is on one domain at a time, I'll go use my Mac terminal and do a who is lookup that way. And as far as finding stuff, basically, I don't know if I really use a lot of tools. I use a lot of, I read a lot, I look around a lot. I don't know if you can, I'm not a big tool guy because you're really not getting any information that everybody else can get. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I think you just gotta be astute.
Well, that's true.
What do you, when somebody contacts you, Mike, and they want to buy one of your domains, do you do any research on them individually?
I try to check the name and, check the email address into Google or LinkedIn and see what I can find, their domain tools, and see how many names they own. Yeah. So I try to, yeah.
Okay.
I do.
Do you ever buy domains off of other people that, you see something in the news and you're like, eclairs are the dessert of the future. I wonder who owns eclair.com, and then you look to see what other domains they own, things like that. Do you do research on a person by domain tools or to
I
find
use
out
domain tools.
Yeah.
I use domain tools, but I would use it to find the name, and then I would think of other names next to the second best name, third best name. I wouldn't, just because the guy owns eclair, would I go look to see what other names he has? Probably not.
All right. All right. Paige Howe, what tools do you use?
I use Fresh Drop also, primarily for dropping, expiring, and names. And I use Excel a lot in terms of little formulas to take lists, kind of a list junkie, I guess, and trying to take lists and append different things to them, append different words to them, run words combined with bunches of keywords. Mm-hmm. I use NameBright a lot because you can run 5,000 names. And so, whether or not huge names is keeping track of what you search for, I guess we could get in all kinds of conspiracy theories. But it is nice when you're really just kind of saying, well, gee, if one of these was available, I'd probably take it. So let's just see if, out of this group that I know is not available. I guess that's the one thing I try to go against a lot of times is when you say all this stuff should be taken. And you don't really know until you find out. So a lot of Excel lists, Fresh Drop. Estibot helps me when I don't know what a word means. Maybe it does mean something. But I find the parsing is really important. You got to parse it the same way they do. Like Mike said, Wall Street Journal, Yellow Pages. I always usually go back to the Yellow Pages. Categories, names, what people are advertising. Let's see, high-end magazines like the Wall Street Journal Weekend Magazine is a good way to see popular luxury stuff. So, yeah.
Cool.
Nothing special.
Rick, you have talked about the Yellow Pages often on past Domain Sherpa interviews that we've done. So I know you're using the Yellow Pages. What else do you use on a regular basis?
Well, kind of going off the beaten track a little bit, I've been using a service probably for 15 years now called IPWatcher.com, and that's when your host tells you that they're up 99.9% of the time when they're full of shit. And this sends you an alert when your site is down. And a lot of you would be surprised how often your sites are down. I use it on PPC. You attach it to any domain. So if you're using a PPC platform, you just have to attach it to one domain name, and if their platform goes down, you know about it before they know about it. Mm-hmm. Believe me, I've been doing this for years. I'm the one that alerts them when their sites are down, and after they go through the denial that it isn't down, and then they find, oh yeah, it was down for, and some of it it could be down for lengthy times. Mm-hmm. So that's my best tip for a good tool out there. That's probably a little bit off the beaten track.
Yeah, nice. All right, and I do the same thing, and you know what? I use a couple different services to watch my websites, and we've just had a spate of downtime on DomainSherpa and i6sigma.com and other ones, and so now I think we're going to migrate to Linode, which has the best uptime from what our research is showing. So,
and you got to be careful because some of them give you a lot of false returns. Also, they really have to be kind of know what they're doing.
Yep. Yeah, but using those uptime services, there's a lot of them that will do it for free for just a few websites, and they ping it every 5 minutes, and it's definitely worth setting up.
You can set it for every 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and the price goes adjust accordingly.
Yeah. Awesome. Hey, Adam, why don't you use a service like FreshDrop or dropping.com instead of just taking the entire 60,000 drops per day and running them through your own system?
Because, I have tools where I can easily import I do it when people send me portfolios to review too. I can easily import massive lists in under a minute, and then I can filter it with predefined filters I've already set up. Mm-hmm. So it'll also tell me, it gives me a lot of the stuff that I need, so it's nothing against FreshDrop. I just don't need the service. I have tools that I've created over the last 15 to 20 years that do everything I need them to do and give me probably different stats and different things that I may be interested in as opposed to somebody else. We all look for different things. We all specialize in different niches, and that goes for not only the people on the panel, but everybody else too. Things that I'm interested in, some of the other guys wouldn't be interested in, but yet I know I may have a market for something like that.
Right. Makes sense. All right. Hope that was useful to people. We're going to move on to top-level domains. Last week, Rick asked if the DomainSherpa audience cares about the new GTLDs. The implication was that maybe they don't. Here's how the data came out. In that, we asked people to post in the comments if they wanted us to talk about new TLDs. 18 people said keep the discussion, stay the course. 3 people, and that's being generous, it was probably 2, but I'm going to say 3 said axe the discussion. That's both discussion and on Twitter. I included Twitter comments as well. What?
Let me correct the record. It wasn't for not discussing GTLDs. It was for what portion of the show to devote to GTLDs. That's a whole different...
But your implication was that nobody cares about the new TLDs. It's a moot point.
My implication was that we're discussing 100% of the time GTLDs at the expense of what's paying everyone's bills right now. And that's my point, is the other ones still pay the mortgage, and I'm just saying, out of a 60-minute show, do you spend 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 55 minutes, or the entire show on it?
All right, I'm starting the stopwatch because people said spend a little bit less, 20 to 25%, 20%, 20%, only the 5K plus sales, 5 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. So we're somewhere in the 10 to 15 minute range on average, I would say. But people did want to know where are people making money in the new GTLDs, and which GTLDs do you guys think have longevity? All right. So we're not just going to discuss all the TLDs for the sake of discussing them, but people want to know where can you make money and which TLDs are going to, in your opinion, stand the test of time. All right. So with that, Mike, you wrote about early bird registrations on .care. Domains like senior.care, nurse.care, infant.care, and alzheimer.care were all registered early. Are those the best types of domain names for investment purposes, in your opinion?
No.
No.
Not, don't love it. Don't love it. I don't.
You don't like those? Senior.care, Alzheimer.care? You don't think people are, those generic search phrases are ones that should span the dot?
I mean, there's a lot, again, is that something that, you want to go back to Mason's, blog post. It's something he didn't talk about at all. There's a lot of vertical competition. And, for every good argument that he may have, that .bike would be the go-to source for anybody who wants to know anything about bike. When you're talking about things like care, there's a .health coming out, and a .med, and, I can't even think of, how many other, other new utility extensions could sort of compete with a .care. So, a lot of charities you could think could maybe want to use a care, but there's going to be a .charity, and there's going to be a .ngo. So there's just a lot of stuff. And, we haven't seen a tremendous amount of sales, but we also need to remember that GoDaddy afternicks in this quiet period. Mm-hmm. So they haven't released any sales information in quite a while now.
Right.
So could be quite a few sales there that we just don't know the reports. There's a handful, and .club seems to be the one that's selling the most domains. But and then the aftermarket through seeding. So other than that, we know about the one estate name that's sold, and there's a handful. There's a smattering.
Yeah. So regardless of the new GTLD, but if we're only looking at the new TLDs, which are more descriptive, which Mason Cole says are, affinitizing, and they're semantic, and so there's .health, .med, .care, they're describing something, which is going to be better? A generic word like, elder.care, or something that people are searching for, or are the brandables going to be worthwhile in those new TLD space?
I mean, so much has to do with how they're priced and who the registry. Assuming that Donuts is the registry for all of them, which I don't think will be necessarily the case. I don't think they're an applicant for .med. I don't know if they're in .health, and there's a few other ones. So, if some of these names are priced at $1,000 a year, it basically prices the domainer out of that market. Mm-hmm. I think. I don't think that's a domainer play. Not to say that an end user won't come along and spend $1,000 and grab that name and pay $1,000 a year. But as a domainer to try to go back to the old .tv model, sell a name for $25,000 that has $1,000 annual renewal fee. It's gonna be tough,
right?
I think.
But you don't think that the new GTLDs are a majority, or the more valuable new GTLDs that are being registered are descriptive? Are they going to have generic words to the left of the dot?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's, Bitcoin, for example. I see it in every zone file I look at. So there's going to be 700, new utilities, but all probably have Bitcoin, mm-hmm. and all will have certain words in it. So some will, be banged on supposed to go, and some will be just very generic. So will Alzheimer's .care be, valuable in the future? I don't know. I don't know how much that costs right now, or how much it costs. So some of these names, are still in the collision list. A lot of the really good stuff is still collision, not available. Got a long way to go. I think we just got a long way to go before we can make that call.
All right. Adam, what do you think about looking for great investments in the new GTLD space? Look for generic phrases that span the dot?
Say that again, because you cut out.
What do you think about where are going to be the best investment opportunities with the new GTLDs?
For me, it's always going to be about, and I'm going to say it again, but it's always the same thing. It's always about what I can build a business on, or what a customer could build a business on. It doesn't matter if I like it. It's called being romantic with your domain names. You can't just buy something because you like it or you think it's cool. You have to have an idea behind it. You can't, it could be anything. As long as I have an idea behind it, it's fine.
But you're investing in domain names as well, and you're not planning on building out domain names on all those investments that you're making.
No, but on all the ones I'm buying now, I'm planning on somebody else buying. I'm not planning on just buying it because they like it. I'm planning on somebody buying it because they have an idea behind it, or they will have an idea behind it.
Well, and you're probably buying them in areas of high competition. You're not buying domain names that don't have any ads currently running on different sites, are you?
Sometimes I am. I mean, I read something, I think it was on your blog in the comments section, about are local domains still sellable, or is it just crap? They died. Well, I mean, they don't have a lot of them. Some that I'll register today won't have any traffic. They won't have anything, no links, no nothing. Mm-hmm. But I know I can sell them by the end of the week because I know that a business would benefit from them. But they take work. You can't just wait for people to come to you unless you're. I mean, you can obviously, like Rick does, and I don't know if Mike does a lot of outbound marketing, but generally people tend to sit and wait. But you can be proactive, and you're going to sell more if you tell people what you have. Or you can just wait and hope they trip over your site and buy it from you. Yeah. Most of the people that are not on this panel don't have the luxury of sitting around and being able to wait because they need money for bills or mortgages or whatever it has, or a trip that they want to go on in December and they need deposits. So you need to be more active, and you need to buy names that you can sell to a business, and you can explain it that way. And you can't explain it based on, oh, it has traffic, it has links, it has backlink. Nobody cares about that. They just want to know how it can be beneficial to their business. So pick domain names that can bring them in leads, or that they can turn into clients.
So the four that launched this week, .care, .clinic, .dental, .surgery, you could pick a geographic left of the dot for each of those and likely sell it to a provider in that city, town area.
You could, I mean, depending what it is. And certain ones are more apt to buy domain names, and certain industries are not very computer literate. So you have to keep that in mind as well when you're doing it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right.
I would agree. I mean, there's selling, a doctor or a doctor's office, a domain name, I think is a different proposition than trying to sell, a domain name to a startup internet company.
Hi, Judy.
I mean, it's hard.
Right. So selling a doctor is harder than selling a .com a .com startup. Look at what I just did there. Starting an internet startup.
Yeah, just to even get to the doctor is going to be, hard. And you know how it is to get to a doctor.
Right.
You got to go through force the nurses, and to even get to there. So I think it's just a harder sale. Same with lawyers. Lawyers are notoriously not the greatest buyers of domain names. So, and there's another one that there's 7 new GTLDs that are all based for lawyers. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be confusion. I mean, we go back to your NewYorkPizza.com example. So New York.pizza or pizza.nyc. or nyc.pizza, or NewYorkPizza.food. I mean, there's just it goes on, and there's .eat, and it's just a lot.
Yeah,
there's a lot to do. So I try to look for ones that don't have so many variables at the moment. Things that are more brandable, more unique, things that'll stand out in the noise, and people won't have to try to remember. What was that? I heard on the radio. Was it pizza.nyc? It was nyc.pizza. Or this or that. I mean, it could be a lot of confusion on all of these, ticks and photos and pictures and cars and autos. It's a lot of competitive stuff going on there.
Yeah, great points. Hey, Paige, you've bought a lot of geographic domain names, multi-word, so it has a geography plus a service or a product .com in the past. Are you looking at these new TLDs and thinking you're going to do the same thing with .care, .clinic, .dental, .surgery this week?
Well, because I've bought a bunch of them in the past and I've made some of the calls that Adam talks about, you realize that it isn't just instant bling on the other side that they all of a sudden discover this and wake up to it. And if we had that much trouble in .com to then have to go through what a new TLD is and all that type of stuff, would make it, a different type sale. So I think if I was starting out, it would be easier to say, I'm going to limit my risk, kind of like what Rick Schwartz did. I'm going to limit my risk with a specific number of specific things, with a specific plan, with specific metrics to see what it works. What should my progress be? Should I have sold 2 in the first month, 4 in the first month, 6 in the first month? Measure it and see if it works. And that's the beauty. You don't have to read domaining.com or blogs or newsletters or whatever to see what works and then go be the second person to do it. Go out there and try something and see if it works, and then you'll know it works. And when you know it works, you'll know much better how to spend your money. back to the new TLDs, I bought smart.care because I think I had been out of the TLD, so I thought, well, let's buy one. So I'm like, let's buy one. So you make a lot of lists, a lot of paper. A lot of times you think you're going to get it, but it's premium. You think you're going to get it, but it's not there. You narrow it down. I took it on the pre-day one, so $160. Smart, had a score of, out of the first 50 TLDs, it was taken in 48. So it's the type of word that has a high, repetitive thing. So anyway, I liked it. So that was one. So for a domainer, for me to buy a domain name, I need to feel like I'm making 1,000 to 1 on my investment. It's say it's $40 a year. I'm hoping it's worth $40,000. But I'm competing with people that are spending $40 a year and hoping it's worth $80. If you're an end user, you're like, $40 a year? Yeah, it's worth the same as a magazine subscription. So it's an interesting market, and then we have end users looking at this as a very cheap, inexpensive expense. And then we have domainers who are like, yeah, but I'm just not trying to double my money. I want to do 100 times my money or something like that for me to actually buy one. And I think that the domainers have been kind of stuffed with all these new ones, and they're getting full, so we're seeing some of the one letters become available where they're not all taken. And I think it's when the market recedes that I tend to kind of want to step up. And if we see some price drops on the premiums, not everything being restricted, then I'll probably come back in. But I did grab a few wangs this week. So there's my joke.
Yeah, but that's a personal discussion. Rick,
All
we
right.
are at 12 minutes and 35 seconds. I'm cutting it off. You get the final word on the new TLD.
3 minutes for wang jokes. It's got staying power. It's got longevity. It's going to be the biggest TLD out there. Come on. Bada boom, bada boom.
Hey, Rick, did you buy any .wangs?
Since we only have about 1,000 more to go, all I can say is there's so much time and ample opportunity to get in. It's like this is a stampede to nowhere. I mean, it's just, at the end of the day, everyone's running. And I always just say sometimes the smartest thing you can do is just do nothing sometimes. And there's going to be an unlimited amount of opportunity if it were to work out, okay? And if it doesn't work out, then just an unlimited amount of money you're going to lose. So either way, it's unlimited. But
I don't think there's a lot of real money being made. There's some real money being made, but it's how people feel that's going up like the stock market. Do I feel like my new GTLDs are in the money? Oh my gosh, I just read an article, they're all worth nothing. Oh my gosh, they're a bunch of money. And so we don't have a lot of liquidity, we just have how we feel. Wouldn't you say, Rick?
Well, listen, they're going to feel a lot lighter in their wallet every year that goes by, so they're going to definitely feel the pain because really, again, it always gets back to the same thing. If I buy a domain like this and it's going to be $400 a year, to me, the minimum is, okay, that's a $4,000. I'm taking $4,000 and I'm putting that on the side, or maybe $8,000 because it could be 20 years, or it could be longer than that. So, again, it's the way. If I have that same money that I'm going to tie up for the next 10 years, is there a better way to use it to turn it quicker so that I eat today and not 20 years down the road when it really doesn't matter as much?
All right, last joke. Don't beat up on .wang. It's actually, if you take out XYZ, it's the #1 TLD today registered. The #1 new GTLD today registered.
All right. Does anybody own any .wangs?
How do you get it to be number one after XYZ? Okay.
So I looked at that registered daily site.
Uh-huh.
I'm saying today. So today there was 450 wangs registered, and that's higher than everything, but XYZ had 800.
Listen,
okay,
it's only a Wong misspell. It's a Wong misspell.
All right.
I guess it means website. It means some version of website in China. So every 3 letters taken, every four numbers taken. There's like the zone file's like 300,000 names or something like that. It's the biggest TLD you've never heard of.
It goes to show you still the strength of the domain market in China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really strong.
All right, speaking of, next up, according to Wikipedia, 27% of internet users speak English. 25% speak Chinese. And the remainder of the 48%, 47%, I don't know, are other languages. Being in the United States and only speaking English, I often forget that other people prefer to use their native language, which includes sending email. Our own Adam Dicker pointed out a blog to me on internetregistry.info about a momentous event. Non-English IDN email addresses are finally working on Google email. Adam, in your opinion, why is this such a big event?
Well, I mean, first of all, they're working through Gmail, and part of it is that, from what I understand, Google has the third most popular IDN right now, and it's a Japanese one. And I know, speaking to Simon Cousins, he's got the two most popular ones right now in company in China. And IDN email is really big because, again, they don't have to leave their keyboards. It's, again, a key phrase for you people that are watching. Grab your IDN email domains or international domain name emails. In a nutshell, Google made it easy for them. It's the first plank towards universal acceptance in the whole program for IDNs. So, yeah. I mean, I think it is a big thing. Google wouldn't do it otherwise. Mm-hmm. They're planning on coming out with more IDN names, and it just shows that the IDN community is going to grow because, yes, we're not all English. And I know if people want more information about it, they can check Simon's site, Chinese Land Rush. His site has a lot of general availability names that they do, and they register and post that are hand-regged. They don't use computers to find them. I know Paige would say they probably used a laptop, but I'll stick with a tablet on that one.
I bet money they didn't use a tablet.
No, I know. But listen, Simon knows his stuff, and he's good. He's the guy I've been getting my domains from my IDNs. So, and he's been helping out, and he's very helpful. So check out ChineseLandrush.com for him. It's a free plug, but I also think that this IDN market for this email is going to be big, and they're going to start to sell a lot of them based on the fact that they can now use them. You could be, I don't know, whatever you want, domains at domain website. You can be Michael at domains.domainwebsite.com or something. I know it sounds a little confusing, but when it's all IDN, it's a lot easier.
Yeah, and the way I understand it from George, George, our favorite Chinese domain investor, George, what's his last name? I forgot. You know George. Yeah. Rick, he comes to your conferences all the time. George
Hong?
Yes. George Hong. Is that, when Chinese people are typing, they actually have to switch between a Chinese keyboard and a Latin keyboard in order to get the dots. And it's very...
well, not anymore.
It's a pain. Not anymore now that Google is doing this for email. But
yeah, but Google was one of the ones, like Chrome was automatically switching the dot for the little round circle in Chinese. But some of the other browsers weren't on it yet.
But on email services outside of Google Mail, like Yahoo and Hotmail and Microsoft Outlook, they're still not supporting these new top-level domains in Chinese yet.
Like, I'm glad you mentioned that. I see so many trucks that still are advertising Hotmail addresses. Where were these people from? It's like AOL and Hotmail are still out there on trucks. Get your own domain name. Spend $10.
Well, but there are plenty of domain investors that are still using Hotmail and Gmail as well.
Well, I don't know what their problem is either then. Because, I mean, they should get off of that and get to their own domain name.
Yeah, I agree.
It's so easy now to host your own email account. It's pretty straightforward, especially for a domainer.
You'd think.
You'd think.
But a lot of people using the AOL email addresses and their ISP addresses.
But forward it over. Get your own domain and forward it over if you still want the email.
It's going to come back and be totally cool. It's going to be retro. You'll be like old school.
Those people...
You still use an AOL, don't you, Rick?
Listen, and all those dinosaurs that use the AOL and Gmail and Hotmail, they're going to definitely adapt to .pizza immediately because, they're the early adapters, baby. They just can't wait. Those are the people you're waiting for. God bless you.
I'm going to apply for .king just so I can sell you domain.king.
Rick at rick.pizza.
All right. I got a reader question from Jay. This is for you, Rick, but then for the rest of the panel as well. But I'm going to go first to you. This does not count as part of my minutes towards TLD discussion.
I'll decide that.
Jay saw that bet.kiwi, bet.kiwi, sold for $8,814. So he went and hand-registered betkiwi.com, and he has it listed for $8,815, $1 more than bet.kiwi sold for.
Here's my advice to everybody on that one, okay? First of all, the one that bought bet.kiwi better go run and buy the .com version before I give the guy with the .com version my advice on what price he should be selling it at. Look, if they sold the one for $8,000, he should price it at $80,000. Bought it like that, just not even a thought in my mind. $80,000 should be the price on it. 10
the
times.
.com is 10 times the TLD version.
Well, that's not that strong to begin with. Listen, bet.kiwi isn't exactly a great domain name to begin with. But if you're going to say that, okay, it has an $8,000 value because that's what someone paid for it, and you have a .com version, yeah, I think 10 times is a reasonable starting point.
All right.
And if it was a better domain, it would be worth a lot more, to be honest with you, than 80,000. This just happens to be, not the strongest name in my opinion.
So 2 things I'm taking away from you, Rick, is that 1, you do think it's a smart move to a potential smart investment strategy to buy the words without the .com. And then secondly, you think a 10-time plus multiple is in order for the .com versus the TLD registration.
I think that's a starting point. And again, like everything else, this is a unique business with unique assets that have unique equations. And look, if it was something that was better, that was more universal, I may say 800,000. I don't know. In this, I don't think it's it's not that strong to begin with. So first of all, I'm very surprised anyone would spend the 8,000, but they did. And that means if they spent the 8,000 for the .kiwi, it's a no-brainer to spend the 8,000 for the .com. But I don't think they're going to have the opportunity after the owner sees the show.
Right. Hey, Mike, I've seen you post a number of times talking about new TLDs and, sort of what were they thinking registering whatever.tld when whatever.tld.com is still available. Do you still see that?
I think, this specific name that we're talking about, I think you might look at it a little differently because Kiwi's sort of one of those pseudo geos, right? So, it's really tailored, ideally to the New Zealand market, and there's a CCTLD for New Zealand, of course, but, bet's probably long gone, and maybe the guy who owns it wants a ton of money for it.
Right.
So if it's somebody who's going to do an online casino or an offline casino, a real casino that's based in New Zealand, maybe that is a good buy for them. And maybe they only want the .com because
they're not going international. They just want to focus on New Zealand.
Want to focus on New Zealand. So there's a couple of pseudo geos. So necessarily, in some cases the geo might be better or might be more valuable than one would think, and maybe you don't need the .com to go with.
Yeah, good point.
Might be one of them.
Do you like the strategy of looking at new TLDs in the zone file that are registered and then going to buy the equivalent .coms?
I don't think it's a bad strategy. I think you just gotta still see the vision for it and who's going to want it, who's going to buy it, and what can you do with it. And just because somebody spent $50 to register, my mom is a .guru. I wouldn't go register. My mom is a .guru.com. So, but it's not a bad strategy.
All right. Paige, what do you think?
I think they're 2 completely different things, and you can't assume the market's going to be logical when it comes to buying yours, but illogical, when it comes to doing other stuff. So if someone buys your name for an illogical price, you can't say, I'm going to be logical and give you back a bunch of your money. So, if someone bought bet.kiwi, I think they're betting on .kiwi becoming like .com, where it's almost like you don't even say it at the end. You just say, come to bet.kiwi. You know what I mean? And it's going to have so much acceptance that everyone's going to remember the bet, and the Kiwi's going to go along with it. And that may take 10 years to happen, okay? And I think BetKiwi or KiwiBet.com is a completely different animal. Now you're competing with every other 2-word.com like Wager Kiwi, Kiwi Wager, any other branded Kiwi, New Zealand-oriented.com site. So I don't think they're as similar as people think. One is a big time bet on something maybe becoming pervasive, the .kiwi TLD, and then you having some super prime real estate on it. And the other is just, a good .com bet. So I think they're two different things, and I'm not sure that you can really just say the next day that guy's going to come buy this. If you were at a nursery and someone bought a tree and they were walking out, you wouldn't run up next to them. I got a tree that's just as good. You want to buy this one too? And I don't think so. I'm kind of against that strategy because I don't think people are always rational and logical when they buy something, and our market isn't liquid enough that if you put something rational and logical right next to it, that it's going to get scooped up the next day or something like that because our market's so liquid, there's so many players. I think it's really hit and miss and all over the place. So that's my recommendation.
All right, Adam, you get the last word on bet.kiwi, betkiwi.com. Good investment, bad investment? What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, listen, I'd be concerned if people started registering domain names of good GTLDs that they wouldn't get any lawsuits eventually if it's registered 2 days or a week after the first one sells. I would think there could be some right of first use and some issues with it. Whatever it is, it is. Me, I don't tend to go after that. I'm not interested in that kind of domain name. Unless it's a generic. If it's a generic and it was something like, I don't know, Canadian vodka or .Russia or whatever, then I may consider buying Canadian vodka, but I wouldn't get the other ending too. I don't know.
Well, bet is pretty generic. Like, betting is one of the oldest.
Yeah, but Bet Kiwi, I mean, it was available all this time, and he went out and registered the .com, so obviously nobody wanted it up to now, and then it's registered within a few days of the other one. It's a hard case to defend that you didn't do it on purpose with knowing what he paid for the other one. And then he's gone ahead and asked us in the questionnaire, so it's listed now for good, so you may want to delete his comment. And for that matter, this whole video.
All right. As I do at the end of every show, I give each of the Sherpas an opportunity to talk about anything they want, any upcoming events that they're going to, any domains that they have for sale, any new offerings, anything they want. Paige, Hal, let's start with you.
So we started this domain tip sheet where we send out a list of names that are available for registration fee. And if you take any down, we ask for a $10 per name honor fee. Friday the 15th will be our 1 month first 30 days. So we'll try to have a great list on Friday. So if you sign up by Friday, you'll be the first one to see that list. So it's a subscription newsletter for free. If you take any names, we ask an honor fee.
All right. Go to domaintipsheet.com and put your email in there. People can unsubscribe whenever they want, Paige?
Absolutely.
No obligation. All right. And then you can just take a look at the email list that Paige sends out every day. Mike Berkens, anything you want to promote?
I have nothing to promote.
Nothing. Did you make a sale recently? How many domains did you sell today, Mike?
I don't sell them daily, but I have 2 sales this week.
Nice.
So doing okay.
4 figure, 5 figures, 6 figures?
4 figures. Mid 4 figures.
Sounds good.
I'm sorry, mid 5 figures.
5 figures.
5 figures, yes.
All right. Most wanted domains if you want to go see what domains Mike is selling. Adam, let's go over to you. Anything you want to promote?
I actually have something to promote this week. So after weeks of getting this organized, I'm ready to roll with Domain College, DNF College. It's up. It's live. People are joining, just starting today. It's for now, I'm putting it on Facebook. It'll also be on DN Forum, but join at facebook.com/groups/Domain College. So facebook.com/groups/Domain College. I just put up one post. I think we got like 60 people in already. So sign up. It's free, no charge. You may need a bit of cash if we mention a tool and you want to buy it on your own. Okay. But I don't need your cash. So if you want to buy a tool, you can. If not, you don't have to. I'm just going to recommend stuff. We're going to cover everything from lead generation to everything possible to do, buying, selling, and it's going to be video-based. Because I like to talk, as everybody knows, much more than I like to write, unlike Michael, who's an amazing writer. So it'll be good. There'll be the odd joke, and apparently at this time I have to watch the types of jokes I say, so we'll just leave it at that.
So if I don't have a Facebook account, where do I go?
You can go to dnforum.com, just get a membership, and you'll be automatically stuck in DNF College. There's a section there.
So sign up for a membership on DN Forum. If you're on Facebook, you can apply to be in the group, or is it an automatic group?
You can apply, but Actually, right now it's open, so I'll leave it open for a while,
right.
and then I'll close the door.
Sounds good. Facebook.com/group/domain.college.
Domain.college, you know.
Say that again, Michael?
It would be much easier if you owned domain.college.
Yeah, probably. But it's reserved, so I can't get it.
All right. Rick Schwartz, anything you want to promote?
Well, we're going to have a new format on our nomination and voting process for Traffic 10th Anniversary Awards. And actually, you may be able to read about it on The Domains in a couple of days. And it'll start, the nominations are probably going to be starting next week. And then we'll tell you when the voting will be. And I think it's pretty exciting. And tell you more later.
Awesome. So I'm going to implore all of the Domain Sherpa readers to vote for me rather than the domains. I'm just joking. Vote for Mike. He publishes way more than I do.
I think we should have a shootout here.
I think that you should break up the category into
writing and video.
Into news written and see, we're not really a news site. We talk about the news on shows like this, but then the rest of them are educational. So I don't want to have to compete against Mike. Can you create an educational area?
Well, here, not to let all of the information out, but we're going to add some new categories this year to keep up with the changing space that we have, and probably some people like it, some people may not, but we're going to do that. And awesome. I think we're going to eliminate a category.
Can we put Ron Jackson in his own category somehow?
Yeah.
So
he should be in a different category.
There's several that need to be in their own category. You know, we need to do something because it's there just ain't enough room at the top.
Yeah, the best DN journal. Ron's in that one. All right. Post any questions you'd like to see answered next week. We're going to discuss your questions just like we did this week right after Adam Dicker's test on new TLDs versus .coms. I can't wait to see those results, Adam. I know the SEO community is going to want to see those as well. Adam Dicker, Michael Berkens, Paige Howe, and Rick Schwartz, thanks for coming on the Domain Sherpa Discussion, sharing your insights and expertise, and thanks again for continuing to be Domain Sherpas for others. We'll see you all next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow.